Hello, today you will hear a story about a man's revenge. My childhood and youth were ordinary, like most children. Our parents were not rich, but we did not lack anything. I had everything I needed. My parents provided for me. After school, I enrolled in college. My knowledge was enough for free education. My parents were very proud of me, and I always tried not to disappoint them. I rarely attended high-profile events, unlike my peers. What I enjoyed most was drawing futuristic pictures in my head or watching science fiction films. I liked films that depicted the cities of the future with the most incredible buildings. I would love to live in such a city, and the profession I chose was directly related to my hobby. I was a designer. Of course, reality was far from my fantasy. I designed simpler objects, in which everything needed to be thoroughly thought out and calculated. I preferred to spend most of my free time alone. I enjoyed observing the world from a distance, feeling like I was out of time. People rushed around, couples in love walked slowly, lost in each other's thoughts. Someone was sad or talking nervously on the phone, and I calmly watched it all as if I could easily and imperceptibly touch the fate of these people. But what I enjoyed even more was spending calm and quiet evenings on the banks of the river, away from noisy crowds. One evening, while sitting on a bench and enjoying the silence, I noticed a light from a flashlight not far from me. Soon I saw a girl who seemed to be looking for something. I tried not to startle her and asked if she needed help. The girl was still startled, but I apologized and explained that I was just trying to help. She had lost her bracelet and often walked in this area in the evenings. I tried to help her search, but we couldn't find anything. She thanked me for my help, and I felt embarrassed for not even getting to know her or asking her name. We went our separate ways. Later, I went back to the same spot, hoping to see her again. By chance, I turned my head and saw something shining near the path. I couldn't believe it, but it was the lost bracelet of the girl. It fit the description perfectly. I knew I had to find her. A few days later, I saw her with some friends and approached her timidly. She didn't recognize me, so I reminded her of how we had met before. Looking for a bracelet together, she remembered, but sadly said that she never found it. I asked her not to be upset and handed the bracelet to her. She was very surprised and delighted, and her friend smiled maliciously and looked at me. This bracelet was given to her by her mother. It was very dear to her, so she was so happy. But now I was not at a loss and asked her name. The girl said her name was Lisa. I anxiously asked if we could still meet and chat. She smiled and agreed, gave me her phone number. Later we phoned and agreed to meet. After a string of successful dates, we started dating Lisa. I remember these first romantic moments of meeting Lisa even now, although we have already been married to Lisa for 40 years. This incredible figure approached rather quickly. Time never waited, but quickly ran forward. At the beginning of our relationship, it was difficult to care for Lisa. I wanted to give her expensive gifts and take her to the best restaurants, but I didn't have those opportunities. And for Lisa, I noticed that she needed a man who could provide for her, and I tried my best to be that man. Soon luck smiled at me. At one presentation, my project attracted the attention of a very powerful investor who agreed to erect a building based on my design. It was like a bolt from the blue. Of course, I really wanted this very much, but at the same time, I understood that this was hardly possible. But it happened, and I will be involved in the construction of a futuristic building of the future. It was a triumph. Lisa was also happy for me and began to treat me even warmer when I began to earn much more. And all these years, luck continued to smile at me. There were other significant projects that were successfully built. I was satisfied with my life and was ready to meet with Lisa in a happy old age. Our children were already adults, and I provided them with a good education and helped them find their place in the sun. Now there was plenty of time to worry about Lisa and myself. We went on various trips, and I gave incredibly beautiful jewelry. She had a whole room filled with these decorations, and she was very proud of this collection. At one point, I began to notice that Lisa completely stopped having sex with me. She tried in every way to avoid intimacy with me. Yes, we were not young, and I didn't initiate intimacy as often, but now I was constantly being rejected. Lisa didn't say much. She would say she had a headache or something else. This made me very uneasy. Then I began to notice how Lisa would leave the house without saying anything to me. I asked her where she was going, but Lisa calmly replied that she was on her own business. Something was clearly hidden in her words, but with her whole appearance, Lisa tried to make me believe that everything was in order. Soon, rumors began to reach me from my subordinates that my wife was cheating on me with young boys. I also said that this was nonsense, it could not be true. But as time went on, I became more and more convinced of the opposite and began to suspect Lisa of being unfaithful. I decided to test this by sending someone to seduce her, someone who fit her type. I found an interesting agency that provided this kind of service. I was picked up by a very young man and couldn't help but mock the idea that my wife could cheat on me with someone like him. However, he agreed to conduct this experiment. The man was wired and the film crew was nearby, so I could see and hear everything. The chance meeting was set up successfully. Lisa was buying a latte at her favorite coffee shop when the man allegedly accidentally knocked her drink out of her hands and bought her a new one. To my surprise, Lisa took notice of him and even smiled at him. The man boldly talked to her and offered to take a walk, to which Lisa happily agreed. They walked around the park for a long time and the man suggested they go to his hotel room to retrieve something. Lisa agreed to go with him. I was nervous, wondering if my entire life was connected to a deceitful person who was cheating on me. In the hotel room, the man offered Lisa a drink, which she accepted. They drank a glass of wine and then the man began to make advances towards Lisa. She waited for this and then attacked him like a hungry dog on a bone. At that moment, I burst into the room and Lisa was in shock. She didn't understand how I ended up there. I said, "So it's all true. You really are cheating on me with young boys." My wife began to say nasty things, claiming she was sick of me and that I was no longer young. She even threatened to take a large sum of money from me in a divorce. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It was as if I wasn't talking to Lisa, but a completely different person who looked at me angrily. I turned around and left, slamming the door hard. I never thought this could happen, but I had taken precautions to protect my property. I wanted to get revenge on my unfaithful wife by leaving her with nothing, since she had never really worked. After making a few calls, I began to prepare for a divorce. Lisa was already counting her money, thinking she would easily get a large sum from me in court. However, her smug smile was wiped away when the judge ruled that she would not receive any of my property. Lisa was shaking with anger, but I had one more surprise for her. She was about to leave for another country in a hurry, thinking she could take all the jewelry I had given her and live off of it. I didn't stop her from doing so, as I had been watching her every move. From the surveillance cameras, I saw how she, like a thief, hastily dumped all these trinkets into a bag. I waited impatiently for this deceitful creature to leave the house. There was another surprise waiting for her, which my wife would reveal at any pawnshop she came across. The fact is that I hired a specialist who made fake copies, glass pieces, that cost absolutely nothing. I knew Lisa would jump at this opportunity. But here too, bad news awaited her. That's why I watched this scene so calmly. I would like to see her face when she realizes that her plan has failed. Except for her lying tongue, she will have nothing left. Let her now go and have fun with young guys and a naked ass. I dedicated my whole life to her, and she betrayed me. And now, for her betrayal, she will have to plunge headlong into poverty, and I don't feel sorry for her at all. She got exactly what she deserved. I sold all these jewels and arranged for myself a tour around the world where I felt like a free man. Yes, sometimes sad thoughts came to me, but I pushed them away with a glass of whiskey. Now I had many opportunities. I was divorced and free from lies. Dear listeners, your support is very important to us. If you like our story, please like, comment, and subscribe. It's very motivating for us. We need your feedback to improve our content.